over to Jessica Anguiano. She's the founder and CEO of Maravillosa movement. She started this not long ago and she has gotten
Mhm.
so much traction in such a short time. And we're super thankful for this partnership that we have built with Jessica in the past few months. And so the purpose of today, she's going to be guiding us today on how you can use your personal journey and story, which is really important and pivotal once you begin a business, and how this could be a powerful tool for you to deeply connect with your consumers, your target market. And so, Jessica, I'm going to hand it off to you for you to take it away today. And then we'll save questions to the very end, okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eric, for having me here and for everyone to take time of their busy time to be here and learn a little bit more. Because I've said it yesterday, say it every day. Knowledge is power, and the more we know, the better we can help our businesses, correct? So as Eric mentioned, I've only been in business for 8 months, although it feels like it's been an eternity. And it's because I've been part of this world for quite a while now. And I am so excited to provide you with some of the tips and tricks that I have learned along the way. So with that being said, let's get started with my presentation. All right. So here we go. Today we are going to be talking about speak your story, grow your brand. And what I mean by that is that um, you could share your story in so many ways and make it so powerful. And we're going to be covering the steps. I'm going to give you three steps towards the end. But before that, I would like to tell you a little bit about Maravillosa movement. We believe that women are already maravillosas. What does maravillosa mean for those that don't understand what maravillosa is? It means wonderful. I already think you are marvelous. And um, I believe that women are talented and capable of creating a lasting change. Do I help men? Yes, I help men too, but my core focus is women. My mission is to help women and small businesses embrace their culture, to not be afraid to show up as who you are, to build meaningful connections and seek out for support. Um, like that saying says, right? Ask and you shall receive. I want you guys to continue to practice that. And how do I help? I help through business mentorship, and I also do quite a few community and collaborations through events. Now, I operate in two different dynamics. Dynamic two is I I keep mental wellness in mind at all times. Like I mentioned before, I have been part of this world so quite a while already, and my job in the many jobs that I've had is that I needed to connect entrepreneurs to resources. However, there was a component that was missing, and it was the mental well-being. Just like the fires happened, right, in LA not long ago. There's all these resources that were being thrown away, but did we consider their mental state at the moment? I do partner with quite a few amazing partners that are listed here, and such as CIELO. This would not be possible without them. Who's behind my Maravillosa movement inspiration? Mine is my mother. And one of the reasons why I decided to launch Maravillosa Movement is I already knew how to help entrepreneurs. I already knew how to connect them to resources, how to help them launch their business, how to review their business plan. But once again, when I help entrepreneurs, the way that I help, there is one person that comes to mind, and it's my mother. And the reason why is because I saw my mom that she finally got to reach her dream business, right? And she had a flower shop and lost it within 3 years. And that was because she had lack of resources, right? She was the first, it was the first time that she had ever owned a business. She didn't have help. She didn't realize or know that such organizations like CIELO existed. And of course, the crushing impact of the recession played a huge role. So when she lost everything, me as the oldest daughter came down with her. So I realized that that's what's inspiring me when it comes to helping small businesses, that I'm not just helping the individual, I'm helping a whole entire family. So thanks to my mama, this is how Maravillosa movement was born. And I am more excited to tell you about what we're here for, right? Which is, what is storytelling in business? Is sharing the heart behind what you do. Literally, I just told you that on how I help small businesses, right? Is it so people can connect? It's for people to remember you, and it's for people to choose your brand. Why does that work? It works because people remember stories more than facts and features. It works because people remember stories where it created trust and they show value in your action. They humanize your brand and making it relatable, authentic, and they make your message stick because they're activated on the emotion and memory. So I want you to keep this in mind, that you are not just a business, that you do not have just a side hustle. You are a story in motion, a vision that refused to stay silent, or a person who turned a challenge into purpose. Because behind every product or service, there's also a heartbeat, which is you. And that's what people remember. So let's chat a little bit here as a group, and dive in what one brand or business that capture your heart through their story so much that you didn't hesitate to buy. So I'm gonna give you guys like a minute to drop in the chat box and let us know what is the name of that business that made you their story say, yes, I want to work with you, or yes, I want to buy your product. Give you guys 1 minute. See if I can see. Dr. Bronner's Art to Basic Watercolors. Okay, Quora Organics. Oh, Quora Organics, I know what that is. Okay, so I'm going to share really quickly, and if I can have a volunteer to share theirs. So as you can see, I chose Chat with Yvonne. You guys may know her, may not know her. So Chats with Yvonne, I was captivated to her by her story and not so much her product, not so much her services, because I was able to relate on everything she was sharing. She's talking about she's first gen, she was an introvert, and just had this passion for public speaking. So all of a sudden, when she was trying to learn more about public speaking, there was no one that she could relate to. And I was like, oh my God, she's an introvert and she's on stages. I am not an introvert. And why am I so afraid to be on stages? Right? So I started connecting more with her. And then I purchased some of the coaching sessions that she was providing, fell in love with it now that I knew more of her story. Those cards that you see on there, I actually ended up buying the last card of her stack. And I love them. It's just a way for me to practice my public speaking skills along with a little touch of our culture. Now, I would have probably never bought those items if I didn't know if I didn't know Yvonne's story. So I just kind of wanted to share that story with you. Is there anybody on here that would like to share a brand that they fell in love with the story first before their product or service? Anybody? Got a shy group. Eric, you want to share a brand? I hate to put you on the spot, sorry.
No, 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 I can share. I think a brand that comes to mind for me is Nike. I think there's
Nike.
just so much inspiration behind it. Even just the simple meaning of just do it. And it's, they support so many diverse athletes, and so that speaks volume to my love language. And they also give back a lot to the community.
Mm,
And it's a brand that's recognized across the whole world. So I think that's one that sticks out to me the most.
awesome. Thank you so
I
much, Eric. Yes,
I
go
did see
ahead.
some great options in the chat. I saw Patagonia. I
Yes.
don't know if Anaí would be willing to share, but that's an amazing
Yeah.
brand too.
Yeah, I love Patagonia, especially like their mission statement, which is to save the planet, right? So
Mm,
they emphasize a lot of overconsumption, right? And what it does to our planet. And I try to live a lifestyle that's, aware of like what I put in my body, where I purchase my things. So and you can also recycle their things. Like if they're old, you can like send them back to them, and then you get some credit to like purchase a new item that's coming from recycled items. So it's just like a whole cycle that they have going on, and I love what they do.
thank you, Anaí, for sharing. And that is such a wonderful example in a different twist from the example that I provided with Chats with Yvonne. And that's literally the whole purpose of you sharing your story, right? That it's little components, little elements that make your full story. So going back to Eric's example as well, how they're uplifting athletic individuals, all of that contributes to the storytelling. So Anaí, thank you so much for sharing, as well as Eric. Well, I went too far. Let's see what I did here. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so let's chat a little bit more. Can you think of a time a brand story made you feel seen, inspired, or connected, that connection justifies the purchase? I think that Eric and Anaí sort of touched on that. So if you want to drop in the chat box, if there's a brand that you connected to the brand story that made you feel seen, inspired, and connected. So while you guys do that, let me share a quick story. So my mom's a big fan of Portos, and I was like, "Mother, how are you gonna make that huge line to buy a pastelito, right? A little piece of bread." Because this is a real life line in Buena Park, I think. And they have one in West Covina, and I think they have a couple in LA. And that I laughed at that. I was like, you go ahead and make your line. But I got the opportunity to meet this beautiful woman as the keynote speaker at an event, and she shared her story on how they were founded and how they started, and she went beyond that. And she got super emotional too. She started talking about how during COVID the demand was so much, but yet they were forced to shut down. And because of that, a lot of their employees had to be let go. And she got so emotional about that. And she said that as a owner, that she knew she was going to be okay not getting paid. So what she did is she gave up her salary to take care of the elderly employees so they can stay employed. Another thing that is part of their story is that these bake at home did not exist until COVID happened. And it was because of the demand. And this is an item that stayed in high demand and is bringing in one of their highest profits. So it stayed permanently on their menu. So just learning little bits and pieces of their story like that just makes a business so much more powerful. So maybe I'll make more line, like I'll get in line this time around because now I'm more connected to the brand. But that just kind of gives you an example of how listening to someone's story can make an impact, and you're willing to wake up at 3 in the morning to make a line. This this past weekend, I was in Long Beach and I had to use the restroom, TMI. So I missed the exit and I ended up being at by Queen Mary in Long Beach. Now, I wanted to go see Queen Mary. I've never been inside. Here's the thing. Why do we love tours? Or why do you like tours, right? Like, think about when you go traveling. Why do you want to go see specific places and learn about them? So think about this. People don't want your product or service. They want your tour, the why, the inspiration, the journey behind your business. That's what makes them stay, trust, and share your story, right? So back to the Queen Mary, unfortunately, all the tickets were sold out, but it has left me that desire of wanting to go back to the Queen Mary and visit and learn more about the story. So you look at it this way, your story is the tour that people are dying to take. Now let's get a little nerdy here. The neuroscience of storytelling. So our brains are built for narrative. When we hear a story, more than 7 regions of our brain lights up. Not just the language centers, but also the sensory, the motor, the emotional areas, right? Stories trigger neurochemicals. What that means is there is this thing called oxytocin, which creates the trust and empathy and is releasing during emotionally driven storytelling, right? Just think about when someone's telling you a story and you end up even like grabbing your, like putting your hands over your chest, right? Or that's where the comes out. The dopamine is the reward and motivation. It releases during suspenseful or satisfying stories. And this makes stories more memorable and persuasive than data alone. When you don't tell your story, only 2 brain areas activate versus the 7 with the storytelling. That means that you'll get lower engagement and low retention. Info is remembered at just 5 to 10% without story, right? So this is why when you're trying, this is when we're in school, back in elementary school, and they're telling you, what is 2 minus 2, right? And your teacher is probably going to say, you have 2 friends, and then you lose 1 friend. It's part of storytelling, right? So info is remembered at just 5 to 10% without story, and story boost it to 65 and 70% if you do tell the story. No oxytocin, no emotional connection. That means no trust. People may understand your offer, but they won't care enough to act. Now, if we look at our brains, it's separated with the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain, right? So the left side is processed with logic, facts, and details, understands the words and language of the story, analyzes the timeline, sequence, and structure. That is the side that we're thinking with the most, where if you say what's 3 plus 3, like you are gonna stop and think, well, maybe not 3 plus 3, but if you're doing a big mathematical problem, this is how we are being processed. On the other side, which is the right side, we are processing more emotion. We get to see more images in our heads when you are telling the story, and it just gives you the visualization of what you're telling them, how you came about your business. So I like to say that we were never meant to build in silence. Not even the big brands are building in silence. Someone out there needs to hear your story. Someone out there needs to hear that because you might be the solution to their challenge. Maybe they have felt alone. Maybe your journey led them to the product or service that they're now searching for. Or maybe they just need to know that it's possible, that healing, rising, building is possible. So I'm going to show you some 4 examples here. To my left, there's the brand Siete. Does anybody know the story of any of these individuals before I dive in? Anybody wants to share? Okay. Let's see. No, he just said no. Okay.
Wait, I think Homeboy, is that Homeboy?
Yeah, it's Homeboy.
Okay, so Homeboy is the people that were incarcerated, and when they came out, they created a business so that people that are incarcerated, when they come out, they will have a place to work, get back into the working field. And now they're in grocery stores. They have their
Huh?
own little shop. And you know what? They also have a shop at the courthouse.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, they do. I went in there.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. That is their story. So I believe it started with either an individual, I'm not sure if he's a pastor or a priest. I apologize for one or the other, but he wanted to help the incarcerated individuals that were having such a hard time finding a job, right? Because it was creating that cycle over and over. They would get out, they had nothing to do because no one would want to hire them, so they will end up back in jail. So they have this called Homeboy Industry, and like Keisha said, they do baking. Now they have their own merchandise, and they have physical locations where you can buy their products, and you are not only helping the business, but you're helping individuals. The
And they
story
also they
yes.
also have a new department. Now they have Homeboy Pet Grooming.
Oh, look at that. Yes. Very cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, so I'm sure that a lot of that had to contribute with not just the impact that they're creating, but the story that they're sharing, right? At the top, you have Siete, which was founded by a Latino family where they did not want to sacrifice the munchies that we get, right? So they still wanted to come up with yummy snacks such as fuego, spicy, and lime, but there are more in the healthier category, right? It's not like your traditional chips where they're not as healthy. Little Libros is another one. This one was Little Libros are infant books, picture books. And this was created by Patty Rodriguez. If Patty Rodriguez sounds familiar to you, it may be because she used to work for Kiss FM. And Patty Rodriguez created these books, Zapata, Frida, Lucha Libre. All of these are in Spanish with characters that the Latino community grew up seeing on TV. So she thought that her story is she wanted to be able to teach her children Spanish, but through not only there was not that many selections in Spanish, but also the pictures were not as fun. Then we have Rizos, where she's talking about she wanted to embrace her kinky hair, and she created a brand out of her uncle's garage. So she tends to share that story a lot. So it just adds a lot more value to not just the product, but the business itself. Your story does not have to be heavy. It does not have to be heartbreaking. It has to be well, it is powerful. You're not making it up. You want to share what your story is. And not all the stories begin with a heartbreak. Some begin with a bold idea, some with a spark of passion, others just the desire of doing things differently. Maybe your story isn't about what broke you, it's about what lit you up. And you don't have to believe to believe. You just have to be brave enough to share your story. So, very quickly, Ben and Jerry's, two friends that had a passion for ice cream and advocacy. So if you go into their website, there is a whole heavy page on all the different advocacy acts that they are involved. Then we have Tom's buy one, get one shoe, buy one, and one shoe is donated to those in need across the country. Bumble is a woman who used to work for Tinder and she hated how she no or actually she wanted to give women the control of selecting of who they wanted to talk to. Does anybody know the story behind Victoria's Secret? Think this was a fun one. Let's see. Okay, let me give you guys a story behind Victoria's Secret. The Victoria's Secret was actually founded by a man. And the reason why he came up with Victoria's Secret is because when he wanted to buy lingerie for his wife, he was embarrassed to go to department stores. So he wanted to create a safe space where he was able to get lingerie. Now, the story probably changed throughout the years, but that's how it started. And I mean, if you didn't know that story, I'm pretty sure that you are probably going to be like, oh, that is cool. Stories could be cool. Now, let's get ready to tell your story. So now we learned the impact behind it, right? So what's the story behind your business? This is maybe where you want to grab a pen or pencil or anything that you can write notes. So every brand starts with a moment, a spark, or a reason, right? It doesn't matter how big or small the brand is, there is a story behind it. What inspired you to start your business or even take over your business? Right? I have a friend, I was trying to peek if she was in here or not. I have a friend that she took over her parents' business. And it wasn't because she wanted the business. She just had to take it to continue the family's legacy. And I don't want to share too much of her story because that's her story. But what I found it so inspiring from her is that she got to take over her family's business and keep what she liked about it and then made it hers. And then that business just became, that business now has a different story. It has her story. Now, think about your business. Did you open this business because a struggle you personally faced? A gap that you saw in your community? A moment that changed how you saw the world? A family legacy or a business that you felt called to continue? I heard, I went to an event not long ago and she took over her family's bakery because her father was going to sell the business and she felt like she needed to continue that legacy. Everyone has a story. What's yours? Start there. That's what people will remember. The reason why I put my mama on here again is, again, Maravillosa movement is with her in mind. And the gap that I saw in my community is that mental health portion, that TLC love that we need aside from all the resources.
Just before
Yes.
we move on, I think Maria Elena Rincon has a comment or question. Maria Elena, feel free to unmute when you're ready.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
You just sparkle in me, why am I doing what I'm doing right now?
Yes.
Like it didn't make sense. Like, why am I doing what am I doing? But now it makes everything sense. Since you started the presentation, everything makes totally sense. How you tell the story, this and that. But bottom line is like, you're doing it because you have it's like climbing a or reaching up the stairs. You
Uh-huh.
have to go step by step, step by step. And once you reach that, once you have your business, you have to remember, when was it that you started that, that climbing those stairs. And you
Mm-hmm.
took me totally, down to the
Oh.
deepest of the deepest. Like when I didn't have like nothing, nada, not even a spoon, nada, nothing. And and the reason I just wanted to share with you that, the reason that I'm right now with my S corporation and doing what I'm doing is because one person, just one person, told me, hey, you have so many degrees, so many diplomas, so many licensings, so many things, and look at you. You live in a small trailer that only fits one bed, and it's not even yours, and it's your sister's. And you don't
Mm-hmm.
have clothes, you don't have shoes, you don't have nothing, not even a car, not even a family, and you have all these certificates. I was looking in through the certificates, and he goes, it was a man, he goes, hey, it doesn't matter all the things that you have. You know what matters? You know, tangible things. You don't have money, you don't have a car, you don't have family, you don't have house, you don't have nothing, and you know what? I responded to him. I said, you know what? But I have my story. I have my
Yes.
knowledge. I have my
Yes.
story. I have my knowledge. You know what? Right now, I'm just gonna pack, little things that I have, and I'm gonna pursue my dreams. You put a firecracker on my ass, and I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna do it. In 1 year, I had everything that I wished for.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. And that's literally your story right there. That's literally your story. You could be selling cupcakes, you could be selling tires. It all goes connected back to your why and in part of your personal story. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Okay. So um let me keep going here. Now here's another thing is that I don't want you to feel like if this is stressing you out, that I'm not trying to stress you out, but also I want you to know that the way that your business is growing is going to continue to have little increments of different stories. Start small and tell one tiny moment at a time. You don't have to tell your whole life story, or if you don't want to get personal, that's okay. That's okay. Just share how the idea came to mind, right? Choose a turning point in your journey and think, the day I knew I had to start this business. That's how you can start like if you're having a conversation with someone or someone is trying to learn about your business, you can say, the day I knew I had to start this business. You're already telling a story right there. The challenge that inspired this product, right? In Little Libro's example is that her kid, she wanted to teach her kid Spanish, but with Latino inspired pictures. What I wish existed before I created this. Also, try this. I started this because I was tired of. What were you tired of that helped you launch your business? Back then, I didn't have X, Y, and Z, so I made it myself. That's mine. That's mine. There is no consulting or consultant that was not only connecting them to resources for small businesses, teaching them strategies on how to grow their business, but also keeping mental health in mind. Where to share it. You can share it on Instagram as a caption, on LinkedIn as a post, a podcast, be on podcasts, share your stories, go live. All of this works. Let me show you guys, and I'm hoping that this works. I'm going to show you, I recently shared a piece of my story. So you guys know the story of my mother, right? Now let me show you guys something else that I'm working on, and I'm going to show you the story behind that, and crossing my fingers that this works.
I want to ask you a question about your mother.
Yes,
Do you think that you would like to do the flower shop again?
I will not.
Oh,
It's not my passion, but I'll tell you what, this is Keisha, right?
yes.
One thing that I do that is not necessarily on this presentation, and I'll show you guys my Instagram very briefly. I incorporate flowers into my branding. So flowers is a big thing. Let's see, let's go into Instagram really quick. I incorporated into my branding because that's my way of honoring my mother. So you can see here, I use flowers a lot into what I do. This is an event that we did. I use flowers for everything. So that's my way of honoring my mother and incorporating her into my brand.
Nice. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so let me get into something that I just shared not long ago, and this is another piece of my story with my business. Start my visual merchandising journey out of my closet. Yep, that's my dirty closet. That's my clean closet, my organized closet. After cleaning my closet, my friend suggested that I sell on Poshmark, and I did, and it went so well that I ended up going to school for visual merchandising. Then, while I was in school, I approached this little store, and I asked the owner, "Are you going out of business?" And he said, "No, I am not." I'm like, "Sir, you look like you're going out of business. Can I help you re-merchandise your whole store?" He said, "Yes, of course." And voila, I worked with what I had, not the best outfits, but I created stories, I created color blocks, and I fell in love with it. And I applied what I had already learned in other schools, which was consumer behavior and strategic selling. So once I did this, I decided to approach big box stores and I started working for them. And because I was so strategic in everything that I was doing, we became top performing stores. Then I became the district trainer, where I was training other incoming visual merchandisers to show them all my tricks and tips. After helping big box stores for so many years and helping them make so many sales, I realized that we could support the small business. I took the leap and approached legislators and important individuals in our communities to offer such programs to our entrepreneurs, those entrepreneurs who contribute to the economy. So I did that through other employers and it proved successful. Now I am on a mission to do this through Maravillosa movement to support my entrepreneurs who attend pop-up events, to set their tables with intention and to practice this thing that we call silent marketing. We are going to thrive. We are going to shine, and I am here to help you. Okay, so that was just an example of one of the many things that I do, right? So in that clip in particular, I didn't even mention my mom. It's just another part of my story. So look at your business. What can you share behind a specific product that you launch and it, why did you launch it? Did you find a need from it? Share that story. Share that story because that will make the biggest difference in not only giving it that emotion that we're talking about, but also it helps you even with credibility. The other part is to use your story everywhere. Your story doesn't have to be a speech, right? That's what I mean by softly. It doesn't have to be a speech. You can show up in small ways. You can put it on your website. You can put it on a sales page. In your website, you can say this brand began this brand began in my tiny kitchen when sales page. I created this offer for people like me who email signature of signature or welcome email. Here's why I do what I do. About me, reel or intro video. I'm not just a business owner. I'm someone who once struggled with, and then you can share it. The Jimenez sisters, you may not know them, is one of my clients that I have worked very closely. Oops. So they're not even talking, they're just showing behind the scenes. This is another way of you storytelling. Another thing that I like from them is that they sell, well, they make goat soap, right? How many people are out there that sell goat soap? A lot, but they have their own story. They are three sisters under the age of 16, maybe 17 now, because one of them got birthday not long ago. And they have they have two different stories. We have the story of the sisters on how they came up with the goat soap idea, and then we have the mom. The mom, you'll see the mom a lot too, and she shares the story of how excited she is to help her daughters become entrepreneurs. She'll give all the credit to the Jimenez sisters, and she just talks on the mom's perspective. Speaking to rooms, I attended a pop-up event not long ago, and I really didn't have anything to sell. My whole intention behind me going to this pop-up event was to share who I am and why is it that I'm doing what I'm doing, and of course, along with some of the services that I offer. But you can go to networking events, and there is a chance that they will ask you, what inspired your business? This is where you're going to give your 2-sentence story. During workshops or panels, start with, before this, I was, or I created this because. You can utilize your newsletters. I can tell you something personal, then lead it into your journey. Practice saying your story out loud in your voice notes, maybe even like Instagram, right? Where you don't really have to post them up. This is a way that you can practice if you are a little shy about it. Now I'm going to show you, let me see how we are on time, very quickly, how even Google shares stories. They do this every year. I chose 2021 just because it's 2 minutes long, but I just want you guys to see the emotion that is connected to this. And this is Google just showing how Google was being used in the year of 2021. So every year they come up with like their popular search words, but I just want you guys to watch this.
This year has been extremely challenging for me. I am broken. And I am healing. I'm here at the memorial wall. I wanted to do something to remember my mom.
For some reason, I'm having anxiety. Obviously, it's normal with everything that's going on right now.
I think I'm gonna take a break for a while. If you can't get through it, and if you can get through it, it's a great movement on the other side. Just like anybody else, I'm just trying to do my little part to try and save my community.
Just really excited we're back open.
Looking at yourself in the mirror and you're just like, there I am.
Be the jury in the above entitled matter as to count 3, find the defendant guilty.
Got the band together as a community, get people's lives back.
even as we grieve, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hope that even as we're tired, we try that we'll forever be tied together, victorious.
All right. Did that spark some emotions? Did anybody relate to any of that? That is literally what storytelling is all about. And I want to leave you with this. I want to remind you, if I can open this, I want to remind you that your story is enough. Why am I getting emotional about this? Okay, your story is enough and it doesn't need to be dramatic. It does not need to be polished. It does not have to be perfect. You just need to share it because there is someone that is waiting out there to hear it. And I don't care if you're selling tires, if you're selling cupcakes, if you're selling life insurance. All of it is connected to something and we need to hear it. And you need to let your story grow your brand and your impact. And I just want to open it for questions if we have time. I'm very passionate in what I do, and I might be obvious that it shows. And I just want to transmit that to you to operate your business from the heart as well. Do not operate your business just as a survival or as extra income. And I'm getting emotional because that's exactly how I'm running Maravillosa movement. And I hope that you do the same. We can connect if you like after this. CIELO has been wonderful in this whole journey of Maravillosa movement where they have made these type of uh, workshops available to you. And we have a next webinar next month on Wednesday, June 26th from 4 to 5 p.m. where we're going to be talking about real connections, real growth, right? How do you go about looking for networking events and not just exchange cards, but actually make those meaningful connections? Eric, I'll pass it on to you, whether you want to take questions or I'm not sure where you want to leave off. I'm a hot mess now.
No, thank you, Jess. We can open it up to questions, and if there's no questions, I can close it out. But thanks again for a great presentation. Do we have
Hey,
Keisha? Do you have any questions?
not really a question, but a statement. I realize that we all have products that we're selling, but it's not the product that people are really buying. It's the stories. And if not the stories, the experiences that we have, that makes us, people don't buy. People are not really buying the product. They're buying the stories and they're buying something else I had in my mind. Um Buying the product is just being saying that you support and you're true to the brand. But it's really the story that's behind everything. And that's such a great thing. Oh, they buy the product and they buy you because I realize when people like you, they're invest in you. And to buy the product is just saying that, hey, I see you, right? I mean, if your product is good, that's even better, right? But it's really you that they're really investing in because they like you and they believe in you. So if you believe in yourself, people will believe in you. And if you support in your business, people will come along and support your business.
Absolutely. I don't know if you would like to build on that, Jessica. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Keisha. That is a great message, and I think that love is reciprocated across the whole room. I think oftentimes the conversations that we have with the team when we're discussing milestones, accomplishments that clients complete in our programs, it always goes back to the vision and simply the people that we work with. And we don't consider you guys customers. You guys are like our family. And so,
Absolutely.
great job, Keisha.
I wanted
Awesome.
to ask Jessica. Jessica, did you used to work for Small Business Majority with the mayor?
I did work with the mayor, yes, and I used to work
That
for,
I'm the one that won the grant and
yes,
the thing. Okay,
yes.
because I remember you. She kept saying, "Are you coming? Are you sure you're coming?" Because I was the winner, and I was like, "Why does this lady keep asking me if I'm coming?"
See, you won. So it was worth
Yes,
it.
I did. Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
remember you.
Thank you,
I
Keisha.
follow you on LinkedIn as well.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Amazing. There you
Um,
go. That's what we love to see. These connections bridged across the whole spectrum here. But awesome. Well, thanks again to all of you for joining. We hope that you found real value from this workshop. When Jessica was showing the Google video, I was starting to get emotional.
that's what it was. I think that's what it got me. I was doing so good and just got
Because
me
we
in my
made it.
emotion.
We made it as a collective body of people. We pulled together and we made it.
Exactly, exactly. So I completely hear where Jess is coming from, but this is the reason why we bring Jess to deliver these workshops because we really want someone who's culturally competent, who really understands our community, and can really connect with all of you, not only at the professional level, but also at the personal level. And so a big, big, big thank you to our amazing speaker, Jessica Anguiano and Maravillosa movement. We're so happy for this partnership, and we're gonna continue having workshops. Like she mentioned, we have another one coming up next month, so we hope to see all of you there. Just as a quick reminder, we will be sending out a quick follow-up in the coming week. With it's going to include a copy of the presentation, a recording of the session, and it's also going to include Jessica Anguiano's contact information if you would like to connect with her directly. Once again, we truly appreciate your time. We know that spending an evening with us means a lot to me and to the whole team. And thank you for investing in yourself and for continuing to learn. And once again, hope all of you have a good evening.